Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding and welcome His Excellency the President of South Africa, the Honourable President Jacob Zuma. Your Excellency, thank you very much indeed. You can take your seat, Minister. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program is about to start. Please find your seats. The program is about to start. Many thanks. Please sit down. Please sit down.
SABC News celebrates Africa. SABC News seeks to be the biggest, the most extensive and diverse news organization on the continent. Our mission is to provide accurate and credible news and current affairs programming throughout the day. we are committed to covering every part of the continent. We reflect the world to Africa and Africa to the world. SABC News, Africa's news leader. Now available throughout the continent.
Good afternoon to you and welcome to sunny South Africa. I'm Ayanda Ali Payne. We're coming to you live from Midrand in Johannesburg, and you are watching SABC News, now officially broadcasting in 50 countries on the African continent.
Yes, indeed, a very special welcome to you, and I know that many of you are watching this channel for the very first time as we welcome you to channel 404 on DSTV. This is SABC's news channel, and I'm Peter Ndoro.
Peter, you know now the trouble starts because you and I are going to have to learn the many beautiful languages here on the African continent. Shall we say bonjour to our French-speaking viewers? And perhaps let me brush up on my Portuguese. Hey? Is that bonjour? Comment je vais? Bien merci et toi. That's French. And of course, if you're speaking Swahili, it is asante sana to you. Thank you ever so much for joining us. And to those who speak Shona, our northern neighbors here in South Africa, we'd like to say, shall I say it in slang?
That's very, very good, Shona, indeed. And in fact, over the next many months and years, on Channel 404, a lot of those languages will come alive because this continent is so full of culture. So, Akwaba, Medasi, Habari yako. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you're watching for the very first time across this beautiful continent of ours, welcome to Channel 404. We've also got an audience here in Johannesburg that have come to join us in the celebrations. And I'd just like to extend a very warm hand of welcome to some of our special guests that have joined us for this special occasion. And I suppose many have seen him come in already, but a very warm welcome to His Excellency, the President of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma. We'd also like to say welcome to the Minister of Communications, the Honourable Faith Mutambi, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, which is in session here in Midrand in Johannesburg at the moment, the Honourable Bethel Amadi. Welcome to you. Vice Presidents that are here of the PAP and members of the Pan-African Parliament that represent the many nations across the continent. Welcome to you. To the SABC board led by Acting Chair Professor Maguve. Welcome. Welcome as well to the Chief Operations Officer Hlaudi Motsoeneng, who's with us today. To all of you distinguished guests, all protocol observed, welcome to everybody here in Midrand, but more importantly and most importantly, welcome to everybody at home across this beautiful continent of ours.
It is indeed an exciting time here at the SABC. Not too long ago, you saw the launch of Encore, and that is a special channel dedicated to the wealth of archives that we have here at the SABC. For those who are watching us for the very first time, let me bring you in on just what hidden treasures that we do have. We have programs like Scooty's Nice and a number of the comedy and dramas that we have for years. So this is quite exciting for us. The channel 156 is where you can get Encore, and here in South Africa we say Pindam Zala. And then of course there is boxing. So boxing fans, the wait is over. Soon and very soon your boxing channel is coming thanks to the SABC.
Yes, indeed. And boxing is a big sport, not just here in South Africa, but right across the continent as well. And who can forget one of our finest boxers of all time, Madiba himself, used to enjoy the sport. Okay, but we're here to celebrate the expansion of Channel 404. That's our news channel going right across the continent. And I think it comes at an opportune time because we're right in the middle of Africa Month. And in fact, on Monday, it's Africa Day. And so what this channel will do, it'll give us a unique opportunity to be able to, I guess, share, tell the story, the African story from an African perspective. And through this, we'll start to get, I think, a better understanding of our many different cultures, many different histories, and start to understand each other all the more and to foster this wonderful spirit, which I think that we see often in organizations like the AU and the Pan-African Parliament, this Pan-African identity. And Channel 404 is certainly going to do that.
That's right, Peter. And someone who was instrumental and at the forefront in clinching those many deals that we spoke about is someone that behind his back I like to call Mr. Delivery, because this gentleman, you ask and he answers, you call and he definitely always delivers.
Yeah, we're talking about our Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng. And in fact, as Ayanda was saying, he really has been the driving force in getting this channel off the ground, expanding its footprint to the 50 countries that we're talking about, and clinching a lot of those deals that we spoke about. And it's his energy, I would say, that's been behind the resurgence of the SABC and creating the environment that the SABC can now be the public broadcaster that it's always been destined to be. So we want to thank him, and in fact we want to welcome him to welcome you and to say a few words. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from the Chief Operations Officer at the SABC, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's good to be here. I'm very proud to be South African. I'm very proud to be an African. Why are we here today? Before I go there, welcome, Mr. President. We are very glad that you are here to bless our channel, which you launched last year. The President of Pan-African, you are also welcome. This is your home. This is Africa. Thank you very much, and all guests. I just need to deal with the role of SABC. The role of SABC is to entertain, educate, and inform. We are different from other media houses. We are not commercial media. We have a certain mandate to fulfill. When we report about the news, we are not apologetic about positive stories, because we as Africans, we undermine ourselves. Our own journalists these days, they deal with propaganda. And what kind of propaganda? When we were growing up, you have what they call people who are fighting for the liberation of many countries. Hey, those people, they were very dangerous when we refer to propaganda. Because radio stations, including television, they will tell you that if those people can come, like President Zuma and others, they are going to kill us, black people. And these are our own people who are fighting for the country, to liberate the country. These days, the propaganda is to change that again. It's the same propaganda, but good stories. They put propaganda and mislead people, because propaganda is all misleading other people. This is what is happening in Africa now. When you go abroad, most journalists, they don't write bad about their country. But when you come to South Africa and some of the African countries, our own journalists talk very bad about their own country. But they don't educate and inform people. If you read, they are always misleading. And I was saying to our chairperson, and he's a professor. You can't talk about Midrand, he's a professor. I was saying to him, Prof, you people who are educated and having these diplomas and degrees and so on, sometimes I wonder myself, what is happening? Because sometimes you need brain. It's good to have all those qualifications, but you need brain to think. If you analyze when people write, and those people are having all these diplomas and degrees, I'm going to give you an example. One of the papers said SABC has hired 500 million. If you analyze that, what they mean is the CFO of the SABC has hired 5 million. But if you check the books of the SABC, the reality is when we write off all those policies that are not relevant to the business, technically, the AG or Auditor General, they will pitch that equals to 500 million. But when people talk, it seems as if SABC has really hide money. But these are people who are very educated. I wonder whether they think before they do whatever they do. Because that is misleading the country. And I still believe that we need to report good stories, tell South African stories. SABC from today, I'm glad that we are in Africa. For the first time, SABC is doing very well financially. We are stable. People who are just talking about SABC collapsing, they're going to collapse themselves, not SABC. Where they are collapsing, not SABC. And we know that even within the organization, some of them are not loyal. But we are going to make sure that we deal with people who are not loyal within the organization, because we need people who share the same vision. You can't work with people if they don't share the same vision with you, because which means they will always sabotage you. We're not going to be apologetic, and we'll lead by example. That SABC, Mr. President, has been struggling. In 2009, austerity measures, 15 million cash in the bank. Now we are talking about billion, more than a billion in the bank. But people are saying we are collapsing. I wonder, what is the difference between 15 million and 1 billion in the bank? We are able to pay our suppliers in time. We are able to pay royalties for the first time. Mzwake Mbulu, you know we are paying you now. And the actors. The SABC personnel, they know we are paying them now. They don't ask the questions whether are we going to get paid or not. In short, SABC is doing well. In short, SABC, we are going to reflect Africa as Africa. We are not going to come with propaganda about negative stories, people killing each other, as if we are killing each other. Because if there is no water in Soweto, if you are a good journalist, you'll go to Orlando. There's no water in Orlando. But in Deep Kloof, there is water. That is what we call balanced story. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much to the Chief Operating Officer there, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng, just bringing us up to speed with balance when it comes to reporting, and of course that all-important mandate of the SABC in a developing country such as our own. It's very, very crucial. All right, well, you're at home. Let me bring you up to speed with what's happening here at the moment. The atmosphere, the excitement here is palpable. I tell you, lots of people are standing by the SABC celebrating this great achievement of going into Africa, speaking to intra-Africa trade and watching our own narratives, our own stories spoken to and told by Africans. Exciting time. So why don't we celebrate that, why don't we? We are going to now hear a special toast by our SABC Chief Financial Officer, Mr. James Aguma.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Dr. Jacob Zuma, the President of Pan-African Congress, Pan-African Parliament, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My task is very simple. It's to toast, to hold a toast on behalf of the SABC for its successes. But I'll start by just quoting an Ethiopian proverb, because it's the African month in South Africa today, and the proverb goes as such, that when spider webs unite, they can tie down a lion. We know, ladies and gentlemen, that the lion in Africa has 3 heads. That's poverty, disease, and ignorance. SABC hopes, with the launch of this channel, to ensure that it can share information with all African states, all the 55, because that information will help us tie down this lion. So I believe each of you has a glass at your table.
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
What we'd like to do is make sure that everybody at home gets to see what we are really celebrating. So I'd like to call on guests on table number 1 and 2 to join the CFO on stage so that we can film the toast. So table 1 and 2. If you're on table 1 and 2, if you could, they're coming with the
All right, we will
elixir.
give them some time.
All right, so if you're watching this at home, we're just about to celebrate the launch of Channel 404, and that's the SABC's news channel. And what we are doing is charging the glasses for our guests, including the President and the Communications Minister, and they're going to be joining the CFO on stage to celebrate this launch of this channel. And as we were saying earlier on, 50 countries have now got access to, I guess, the best primetime news across the continent. People will be watching the African story being told from an African perspective as the SABC News Channel has expanded its footprint across the continent. And the various dignitaries that are here in Midrand in Johannesburg, many who have been with the Panaffrican Parliament in the last few days, are making their way to the stage, joining the President and the Communications Minister. We've also got the Pan-African President, President Bethel Amadi, who's joining us on stage as well. And they're all here to celebrate, to raise a glass, to say welcome to the many, many African countries that will be watching this product in the months and years ahead as we start to tell the African story from Africa. So, with that, let's go back to the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Aguma, to lead us in raising a glass to SABC News, Channel 404. Okay, so cheers SABC, cheers, halala, halala. So the glasses and the champagne is being enjoyed here in Midrand in Johannesburg. As I said, 50 countries now, today for the first time, will be getting this signal, and this is one of the many initiatives that the SABC has employed in recent weeks to make sure that the public broadcaster's mandate is fulfilled, not just here in South Africa, but right across the continent as well. We're going to be telling those many, many stories in the many countries that we have, so we get a better understanding, better knowledge of the events that are taking place on this continent. And I guess experiencing that sense of Pan-Africanism that we've been watching and celebrating in the Pan-African Parliament just next door where we are right now. And we've still got quite a long program ahead of us. A few people that we're going to invite to speak onto the stage. And one of the people that's going to have a critical role in managing the output, one of the people that's going to be managing the output of the SABC News is Sophie Mokoena. I know that she's traveled across the continent, so a lot of people may have seen her and spoken to her, but let's introduce her now because she'd like to share a few thoughts and a few words about how this channel is going to move forward now that it is truly a Pan-African channel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our foreign news editor, Sophie Mokoena.
President Jacob Zuma, President of the Pan-African Parliament, Minister Mutambi, delegates of the Pan-African Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, particularly the young people who converge at the Pan-African Parliament this morning to debate the future of the continent. It is my pleasure to stand here to share a short story with you. When the head of news, Mr. Jimmy Matthews, recommended that I be appointed the foreign editor, I was excited and looking forward to do the job. And my first big assignment was to cover the elections in Zambia. I took a team of 6 people. We have a bureau in Harare. Our foreign correspondent there, Sarah Shingai Nyoka, and he was joined by Vuyo Mvogo, you know him very well, and the technical team. We went there, we did a good story, and we were able to showcase Zambia. Later we went to Lesotho, the same mandate was given to us. We were able to communicate the story very well. Then I had to travel to Nigeria to cover elections there. Again, I was a leader of a team of about 5 people. 6 people were able to deliver the mandate. But something was kind of bothering me, was the fact that 404, our news channel, you can only access that channel when you are in the SADC region. And I just felt that it is important that we have a news service and channel based in Africa, and the channel that will be able to tell an African story from an African perspective. The channel that will be able to unite the Africans, give Africans platform to share their story, and that when necessary, avail platform to our newsmakers and our leaders in the continent, be it political, NGO, or young people, to communicate their role and in terms of what they are doing. And then when I arrived in Nigeria, many Nigerians said to me, are you from South Africa? Oh, SABC, it's SABC. I said, yes. And they said, but what's happening? We can't see SABC anymore. We like SABC. I said, I'm aware, but I'll go back home to communicate this message with my boss, Jimmy Matthews, and I'm sure he will take this message to the entire news management and the board, and something will be done. I promise. Come Nigeria inauguration, I'm sure we'll be able to tell the story and we'll be able to see SABC. And when I came back, indeed, the meeting took place. And thanks to our COO, a man who is willing to listen and who is quick at implementation, he then delegated our boss to work on that. And because of the financial situation in the SABC, which is better now, they were able to execute this mandate quick. And thanks, Mr. Aguma, because now you were able to put aside some little budget to ensure that we deliver in our mandate. Mr. Motsoeneng, thank you so much for listening and ensuring that the African story will from today be heard from South Africa, but by all Africans. Thank you so much for the leadership. So from today, the team will be out. The bureau in Harare, the bureau in Kenya, Sharon, Bryce Peace at United Nations, we will bring those African stories. And the diplomats at the UN from Africa, you'll be able to communicate with your people because your stories will be on Channel 404 and the whole continent will be able to know what you are doing at the United Nations. The same with the Pan-African Parliament. When it converged here, we were able to broadcast live all the sessions. And from Monday, the whole continent will be able to see what's happening here at the Pan-African Parliament. Gone are the days where members of Pan-African Parliament, people will think that we are here to buy nice stuff and move around. And I'm happy when Ayanda Alipane this morning said, I am so amazed in terms of the debates at that parliament, the conduct of the parliamentarians, the issues. And here is SABC. Thank you so much, Mr. Motsoeneng, for ensuring that you act with speed and avail resources and listen to the newsroom. And here we are. We will be able to carry on. And the first stop, if things goes well, it's the inauguration of President-elect President Muhammadu Buhari. We will be there. And the next one, Tanzania elections, we will be there. We are there communicating what's happening in Burundi. We'll continue to communicate what's happening in the African continent. Thank you so much, Mr. Motsoeneng. If Mr. Aguma, you didn't work very hard with Mr. Motsoeneng and the board to ensure that we have resources, today we'll still be complaining and saying, hey, but when are we going to share our story with our fellow Africans? Because I am an African. I have to tell an African story. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much to our foreign editor, Sophie Mkwena. We too love SABC, as the SABC has been christened. And I know you are quite passionate as well. So I have a little story to tell about the passion, the dedication, and the commitment to Africa that some of our staff here at the SABC have. A little bit earlier throughout the course of the week, while we were broadcasting the 6th ordinary session of the 3rd Pan-African Parliament, Sophie Mkwena and myself were quite busy. I'm sure we were harassing one of the MPs for a comment or two, and then we saw Ma'am Mkwena being all things to all men. She was not only foreign editor, she became the makeup artist, she became the guest coordinator, she was even standing by me, just giving me one or two tips. So that's the kind of commitment and the dedication that you can expect. All right, well, also someone who's quite committed and dedicated and passionate about the brand and the continent is the acting chairperson of the SABC board, Professor Mokube.
Say they are tired of digging graves. If shovels could speak, they would say they are tired of witnessing coffins being lowered. So, Africa for Africans. Barbarism, butchery, human slaughter is one act of heroism. Africa for Africans. An African can never be for rain in Africa. An Africa can never be for rain in Africa. Africa, my soil. Africa, my soul. Africa, my roots. Africa for Africans.
Maisha ni mwangu, moyo inataka nibaki pembeni nawe, Baba, 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 pembeni nawe, nibaki, nibaki, nibaki pembeni nawe, Baba.
My brother, my sister, it's time to take a stand. How long will we do this? Let's take each other by the hand, by the hand, by the hand, by the hand, yeah. Let's take a stand by the hand, by the hand, by the hand, by the hand.
Africa for Africans. We are African but for rain in Africa. Not in our name, we love Africans.
And those were the dulcet tones of the man affectionately known in this part of the world as the people's poet, Mzwake Mbuli, joined by the SABC choir. And they were paying tribute to our beautiful, beautiful continent. And just before the performance, we promised to hear from the SABC board. And a lot of the decisions that we make is partly due because of the vision of the board and the direction that they give us. So please welcome the acting chairperson of the SABC board, Professor Magube.
His Excellency President Zuma, the Minister of the Department of Communications, Bomme Mutambi, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, the COO and the CFO of SABC, delegates from various structures and institutions, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I sometimes hear an advert, and I hope I won't be sued or nobody would solicit some funds from me for doing that. I often hear the state-owned company saying is taking Africa to the world and the world to Africa. Because I know what plagiarism is, I will avoid it. But I would rather say SABC is taking South Africa to Africa and Africa to South Africa. I hope that is not plagiarism. I am glad that Channel 404 is spreading its wings across South Africa. This channel has been producing news for the SADC region for some time. The service has been providing timely information on events on the continent and around the world to listeners and viewers in the SADC region. South Africa is a leading economy on the continent. It has strong democratic principles and believes in the right to information for many people, particularly on the African continent. Consequently, the SABC has a sizable annual budget for the production and broadcasting of news to ensure the availability of news, views, and other information to Africa and the whole world. South Africa has decided to expand the reception of Channel 404 from the SADC region to the whole of Africa. Disseminating news to the entire continent has many benefits for the inhabitants of the continent, including South Africans. The first being that there is a lot that Africans share, which make it necessary for us to share news as a continent. Secondly, world events are understood within specific contexts, and it is necessary to share certain perspectives as Africans so that we respond to important developments in ways which conserve and develop amicable world and continental relations. Thirdly, our voice as the storyteller carries something of our spirit, character, which enables more people to understand us better. We should reach out to many people for greater cooperation with the rest of our continent. Sharing news with the rest of the continent enables many millions of people on the continent to understand issues and views such that they get a talking point from an African view, the perspective of the SABC. An all-Africa news service on Channel 404 is a developmental milestone for South Africa and the continent as a whole. It is going to be a common forum on which we as South Africans create common talking points. We will understand the world from at least one more shared informant. It is this one more shared informant that we are celebrating today, which is Channel Africa. I'm glad that Hlaudi Motsoeneng and his team made this expansion possible. I, as the acting chairperson, I believe in results. And this is what I told him when I joined SABC as a board member, that I don't like people who talk, but I want people who act. You and your team, you understand our vision and you understand our mandate. Hence, the service that we are launching today. Hlaudi Motsoeneng, I'm glad that you are able to take tough decisions. You are able to forge partnerships with different companies and institutions, you are able to take decisions in terms of how, as SABC, can we move from austerity to where now in our bank we have got, I won't say enough, because this is not enough. I still want more. And Hlaudi Motsoeneng, I want more. Next year, it mustn't be 1.2 billion. It must be 2 billion and above. And I know that it is possible. I don't know how you twist people's arms to accede to your requests, but go on twisting their arms. We want that money for SAB to be sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we will enjoy Channel 404. I won't miss people like Saraki Mani. I won't miss Shingai Nyoka. I won't miss Sherwin Bryce Peace and others. And this is what we want to hear from time to time, what's happening in the rest of the continent. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I really thank you. And by the way, if you think that this is the last thing that we are launching, a week after next, we will be launching boxing. It's coming back to our channels and radio stations. I hope we will enjoy that as well. I may also sound like a broken record when I say SABC is growing from strength to what? We are growing from strength to strength, and we are not going to stop now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the Honourable, acting chairperson of the SABC board, Professor Magube. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us on this very special occasion. Now, Monday the 25th is Africa Day, and I'm sure many of you know this celebrates the founding of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. It has had its successor, which is the African Union, and in fact, this last few days, the Pan-African Parliament, I think one of the symbols of African unity has been sitting here in Midrand in Johannesburg. So it's not possible, I think, for us to launch a Pan-African news outlet such as the SABC without hearing from the President of the Pan-African Parliament, and would like to welcome him, the Honourable Bethel Amadi. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. And that's the President of the Pan-African Parliament, which is sitting in Midrand at the moment, who's here celebrating the launch of Channel 404 in 50 countries across the continent.
Thank you very much. The President of the Republic of South Africa, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I, on behalf of the members of the Pan-African Parliament, congratulate the SABC for this landmark achievement. For us at the Pan-African Parliament, we believe that the future of Africa depends on us as Africans to find homegrown solutions to the many problems facing our continent. African solutions to Africa's problems. And when we see today this landmark achievement, we have for too long had the script of the stories about Africa being written in capitals and cities outside Africa. We have for too long had stories about Africa being told by media houses from outside Africa. We're just discussing at today's intergenerational dialogue with our youths of Africa that over the last 20 years, African Airlines had 20 years ago 60% of the market share of air travel within our continent. Today, we have 20% and declining. Today you find that it's easier to travel from Africa to Europe than from Africa to Africa. And so we challenge all the various leaders across our continent, in government, in business, to begin to look inwards to see how we can create platforms for the integration of our continent, how we can create opportunities for Africans within Africa, how we can stop the current flow of African citizens dying at the Mediterranean trying to get to Europe. It's time for us as Africans to celebrate an event like this, because it is a step forward in the right direction, an opportunity for an African TV station to tell the stories about Africa across the whole of Africa. We applaud it, and I was speaking to the COO when we were sitting down having a drink just now, and I said to him, what we are looking forward to from you at the Pan-African Parliament is not just the support you've given us so far, but we're hoping that you would create an education channel that will ride on the back of your Africa channel to school the millions of African children who do not have opportunity to go to school, who do not have access to education. And I hope that working together, we would be able to achieve for our people a better life than we have met so far. Mr. President, today we have in our midst young African leaders from all over the continent who are attending the intergenerational dialogue. For them, we have put our hope for today and for tomorrow, but we want to be able to integrate them into the leadership process from now. We don't want them to wait till tomorrow. We need to teach them and show them how leadership should be representative truly of the people. On Monday, the Pan-African Parliament will celebrate Africa Day, and we have on our agenda the theme of empowerment for the African woman. The time has come for us as a continent to bring on board 50% of our population who are presently being kept outside decision-making processes on our continent. Africa cannot develop without half of its population. And so we call on our leaders to break those glass ceilings, those religious, those social, those cultural issues that have held back our women, so that they can come and contribute their quota to the growth and development of our continent. Africa needs all hands on deck. Africa is rising. I thank you very much.
A great big thank you to you, Honourable Mr. Ahmadi, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, which is sitting a stone's throw away from where we are broadcasting this morning. We do know that AU Commission Chair Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, number of young leaders, and she just spoke about Vision 2063, and just alluding to that speech, she said there was a time when Africa used to get irritated, I suppose, when people would refer to us as a single country as opposed to a number of sovereign states. Now we do realize that our unity is what will bring our advancement and a positive trajectory for the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to introduce the Honourable President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Jacob Zuma, I would like to call upon the Minister of Communication, Umama uFaith Muthambi.
Our distinguished guests, members of the Pan-African Youth Association in the entire African continent, Mr. President of the Pan-African Parliament, my former colleague, Honorable Bethel Ahmadi, the second Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament, my former colleagues, members of the Pan-African Parliament, so good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great honor to introduce you, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Jacob Zuma. His Excellency has dedicated most of his life to the struggle for freedom, equality, democracy in South Africa. He has endured a long incarceration, many years of exile and underground activities to bring this country to where it is today and to lead it to where it should be tomorrow. President Zuma has been seized with improving the lives of our people. This was his call to action when he assumed office in 2009. He made it clear that he will not rest until the basic conditions of the poor, such as water, electricity, and housing, is improved. In addition, President Zuma is unwavering in his quest to ensure that the country boasts a state-of-the-art information and knowledge technology. A vital part is also ensuring that we have the best infrastructure for communication because knowledge is power. The President is championing the infrastructure initiative in our country and in the African continent. He is part of the various collective efforts to bring peace, stability, integration, and economic prosperity to the African continent. He is passionate that these developments be communicated with accuracy, impartiality, empathy, and the agency they deserve. President Zuma feels strongly that the image and reputation of this continent must be restored through fair and informed communication of its achievements, unlike it was in the past. Therefore, it is great honor and pleasure that this channel, Channel 404 in DSTV, is now extended to cover the African continent. SABC brings the world to Africa and Africa to the world. Once more, it's my honor, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to ask you to ascend the podium and address the audience.
Thank you very much. We may take our seats. Thank you very much, directors of the program, the Minister of Communications, Ms. Faith Mutambi, His Excellency Betheli Anna Emeka Amadi, President of the Pan-African Parliament, and the Vice President of Pan-African Parliament, Acting Chairperson of the SABC Board and Board members, Acting CEO, Management, and staff of the SABC, fellow South Africans and fellow Africans. Good day to you all on this wonderful day. Today, the public broadcaster, the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC, expands further into our continent, increasing the reach to all 51 countries, and not just the SADC regional or region only. This is a long overdue move for our public broadcaster and is a cause for celebration indeed. This development takes place during Africa Month and therefore one of the key milestones in our celebrations. South Africa is an integral part of the African continent. Our hopes, dreams, successes, and challenges are intertwined with those of the African continent. Our story is the story of the African continent. It is thus important that we are going to start sharing our success stories with the continent more extensively. We are also happy that South Africans will also be now more exposed to what is happening in the continent. South Africans have gone through a long period of isolation in the past decades of oppression and apartheid colonialism. Our country was a pariah in the eyes of the world and would not participate in world or continental affairs. The dawn of freedom ushered in democracy and the reintegration into Africa and the world. We also developed a remarkable constitution that enshrines the freedom of the media and freedom of expression. Today, we are celebrating that freedom of using any platform to tell our stories and express ourselves. Freedom of expression is very important to the South African people as they fought tirelessly and relentlessly to obtain such freedoms. Freedom of the media must include access to the media and information for our people. Through the SABC, we are moving ahead in realizing that goal. We have great expectations from this new channel. SABC News 404 must be a mirror on which we see ourselves as the African people. It must tell the story of our day-to-day lives, the story of our hard-working people who wake up every morning and try to make something of their lives, and the story of the work that goes into making our country a better place each day, done by millions of people each day. We also want to see the stories of success from the African continent so that we can learn from one another. There are successes in education in Zimbabwe, successes in information communication and telecommunications and technologies in Rwanda, and indeed many other stories have a lot to share with us. And we are ready to share with them as well as sisters and brothers. The SABC News Channel 404 must therefore bridge the physical borders that divide us and bring us as African nations together. We want to know the music they play in each African country, the food and the culture. And surely they want to know the same about us. SABC News Channel 404 must provide that platform for better understanding and appreciation of the rich culture in the continent. The importance of the channel is that stories will be told by Africans to Africans. As Africans, we will face, which still face, the disadvantage of having our stories being told by people whose perspective is foreign to ours in the continent. This must change. Africa has several good stories to tell, and these must be told. Ours is a continent of hope. We are one of the fastest growing regions in the world. Africa continues to grow despite the serious difficulties globally in the economic arena. This augurs well for job creation and an improved quality of life. Africa also has good programs of promoting socio-economic development through various organs of the African Union, and these are being implemented. These are programs aimed at promoting trade amongst ourselves within the continent and to promote regional integration. We have an extensive infrastructure development program championed by heads of state and government through the Presidential Infrastructure Championing Initiative. South Africa was given the task of championing the North-South Road and Rail Corridor. We want to continue building infrastructure such as roads, railways, bridges, dams, and airports to make it easier to travel around the continent. We are also working together as the African continent to promote peace, democracy, as well as stability in Africa. We are working together to support the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Central African Republic, and other countries that are facing difficulties. We do this in the spirit of looking for African solutions to African problems. When problems erupted again in Burundi, we were and still are united again in saying we will not let Burundi regress. We want to work together to find a solution in that country, which has been a bastion of democracy. We are all saying Africa will not fail. Africa will succeed at all times. The SABC must be ready to tell these stories of hard work as we build a better Africa and a better world. Our public broadcaster should also capture the rich history of Africa through dialogue and debates. We want to hear progressive African intellectuals deliberating and analyzing the situation in Africa in a constructive manner that builds a better Africa. Already, the SABC has begun to expand the coverage of the continent. In recent months, SABC News has highlighted the successful elections in Zambia, Lesotho, and Nigeria. The SABC also covered the SADC Special Summit in Zimbabwe and have this week brought the Pan-African Parliament to the living rooms of our people. People are now exposed to the views of parliamentarians from various parts of the continent. Do not take this coverage lightly. It opens up a whole new world that helps us to promote a better understanding of one another in this beautiful continent and to take decisions from an informed position. Let me emphasize that we are not saying that the SABC News Channel 404 should ignore problems when they arise in the continent. What we are saying is that the public broadcaster should balance whatever stories of mayhem with stories that also show that while there is disaster in one small corner in the continent, the majority there live in normal life. It should be stories that tell the full African story and not the unbalanced negative scripts that have become the order of the day for years. I would like to congratulate the SABC team on the success of the channel to date. Since its inception, the 24-hour news channel has reached out to an average of 29 million households every day. This expansion will further increase this figure. Let me also point out that today's launch of this expansion of the SABC 24 News to the continent dovetails with the movement towards digital migration. I have been assured that the process is well advanced and the migration process will begin to take shape in the next few months. In March 2015, Cabinet approved the final amendments to the Broadcasting Digital Migration Policy, which paved the way for the implementation of digital migration. Cabinet further approved that government should provide free set-top boxes to the 5 million households who cannot afford to buy the set-top boxes. The migration will release valuable spectrum which will allow for more television channels and will also result in job creation in the communication and creative industry sectors and better quality broadcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, as said earlier, the launch comes at an opportune moment when the continent is celebrating Africa Month. The SABC News Channel is thus an excellent way to celebrate Africa Month. With a channel that will help to reinforce Africa's unity, commitment to peace, democracy, and economic development. The launch also takes place just a few weeks before the hosting of the African Union Summit in Sandton, Johannesburg. The channel will open a window into the summit for 51 countries. If you include South Africa itself. We will also host the World Economic Forum on Africa meeting in a week's time, bringing together heads of state and government and their representatives, as well as global and African business, to discuss opportunities in our country and the continent. Again, the newly expanded channel will be able to expose those opportunities to the world. All of this demonstrates that the media is a powerful tool for development, peace, unity, and progress. But equally, you can make it a powerful tool to destroy. I'm hoping that particularly the leadership of the SABC, we are all going to put forward patriotism, Motsoeneng said there are three things that SABC must do. One of them is education. And I believe education must have a bigger space. And education is not only the education you get at school. We need to educate ourselves in the country and in the continent about patriotism. A patriotic citizen is an asset. You also need to do a lot of us to teach ourselves about ourselves as Africans, how important we are, how powerful we are, and what we need to do to make Africa the #1 region in the world, and how beautiful we are. How beautiful is our continent, our lakes, our forest, our mineral resources, and how we should use our mineral resources to empower, to create a prosperous Africa. I'm hoping that patriotism could be something all of us who are in public office or institutions have as a common element to all of us. Let us sell Africa better with an African instrument we are now going to have. Because we're being sold badly by people who give news in Africa from a different perspective. Let us indeed prove that Africa is a continent of hope and many opportunities. Let us teach people about peace and stability and about democracy. Let us teach people about love to one another and how to protect the poor and vulnerable. I hope this channel will begin to tell success stories of the continent that matter to every citizen of our continent. We are not saying let us not tell the stories that are bad to discourage our people. But we can't make Africa to look like is one of the worst places ever. Africa is in fact the hope of a large part of the world. They came to Africa many centuries ago because Africa had something to offer. Up to this day, everyone wants to come to Africa because Africa has it all. But I think this time around we cannot be passive. We need to be proactive. And those who come here looking for opportunities, let those opportunities as well help us as well. And I'm sure this channel is going to give a lot. There are big channels in the world that always report about us from somewhere. We are now going to be reporting from Africa about Africa. We congratulate the SABC on this progressive route of promoting the telling of the African stories by Africans in an African perspective. We wish you all the best. We will be with you. We'll be ready to contribute as well. Thank you very much.
Africa, my beginning, Africa, my ending, Africa, my destiny, Africa, my pride, Africa, my roots, Africa, my soil, Africa, you are my beloved continent. Africa, the continent of beauty and beast, blessings and blasphemy. Africa, the continent of geniuses and gorillas, music and martyrdom. Africa, the continent of pain, pioneers, talents and tyranny. Africa, you are shaped like a question mark. Centuries have gone by. Foreign intruders have besieged Mother Africa, from imperialism, colonialism, to other dreadful isms. Africa's riches have enriched foreign lands. Foreign empires were built on the corpses of Africa's children, lest we forget the transatlantic slave trade. I call it genocidal crimes against humanity. Indeed, Western powers remain responsible for Africa's economic ruin. Behold, dictators and despots have also emerged from the African continent. Heroes and counterfeit heroes alike, philosophers gone astray, pretenders to the throne, prophets of doom and gloom, punch-drunk generals and warlords. I call them graduates from the Academy of Emotions and Tantrums. Wars of intolerance have produced genocides and massacres in Africa. What a shame, Africa. Rise, Africa, rise. Rise beyond civil wars. Rise, Africa, rise. Rise beyond coup d'etats. Rise, Africa, rise. Rise beyond tribalism. Rise, Africa, rise. Rise beyond Afrophobia, xenophobia. Rise, Africa, rise. Rise, Africa, rise. Africa has been a target of parachute journalism. Tourists have explored Africa from air-conditioned luxury buses. Rise, Africa, rise. Back to the source. Africa, bless Africa. Rise, Africa, rise. The stalwarts, the veterans, the heroes, the legends, from Rivonia to Robben Island Prison, from Robben Island Prison to Portsmouth Prison, from Portsmouth Prison to the bigger prison. South Africa, I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From prison to restrictions, Governor Mbeki was released and could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From prison or hospital to house arrest, Harry Kwala could not be quoted. The Lion of Midlands could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the legends of our struggle. From prison to procrastination, from Rivonia to Robben Island Prison, from Robben Island Prison to Portsmouth Prison, from Portsmouth Prison to Victor Verster Prison. Nelson Mandela's release became the swan song of the apartheid regime. P.W. Botha exclaimed that Nelson Mandela was imprisoning himself, that Mandela refused to denounce violence behind bars, that Mandela refused to stay in Transkei, a banana republic. From dirty tricks to delaying tactics, I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Let me remember the foundation of resistance. Let me remember Chief Bambata. Chief Bambata took it to the mountains against conquer and colonialism. He preferred war and death rather than service to the throne. I dedicate this poem to the kings and chiefs of our time. King Tetwayo, Chief Makoma, Kgoshi Mampuru II. I dedicate this poem to the family units of our struggle, the Rivonia trials. Comrade husbands, your family suffered, were persecuted. Your wives became political widows, whilst you, the real husbands, remained alive in the dungeons of hell. I speak of Nelson Mandela. I speak of Governor Mbeki. I speak of Walter Sisulu. I speak of Raymond Mhlaba. I speak of Alex Motsoeneng. I speak of Dennis Colbert. They said to the ANC, a terrorist organization, from Thatcherism to Botharism to Reagan administration, no, I call you liberators. I call you freedom fighters. I call you legends of our struggle. Let me dedicate my poetic praise to Chief Langalibele Dube. I speak of John Mahata, Sifu Pixliga Seme, Solega Plati, Dr. Koma, Dr. Moroka, Dr. Piasunodi, Dr. Yusuf Bram Fisher, Lalo Chiba. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Chris Hani, Chris Dlamini, Elijah Bahai, John Komomo, Moses Mapita, Moses Kotane, J.P. Max, Oscar Mpeta, Tony Makatini, John Kabi, Joe Slovo. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Inzalabantu, Imbogoto, Adileti Tambo, Albertina Sisulu, Amina Kachalia, Betha Kowa, Charlotte Matlege, Dorothy Amara, Dorothy Nyembe, Florence Matomela, Gertrude Shope, Helen Joseph, Chunu Mlangeni, Ruth Mompati, Lilian Ngoi, Rahima Musa, Ray Alexandra, Sefi DeBrain, Sophie Williams, Vesta Smith, Victoria Mtenge, Winnie Mandela. I dedicate this poem to the young lions. I speak of Andrew Zondo, Bani Mulukwane, Begi Mlangeni, Ephraim Mukhale, Mtuduzi Goma, Ahmed Timol, Moses and Mumufuke, Solomon Matango, Peter Mukaba, Zimunya Makanda Ziewe. My praising cannot be complete unless I dedicate my poetic praise to the leader that kept the movement of the people together in exile, Oliver Reginald Tambo. O for organize, R for regiments, T for take over. The movement that the people survived all kinds of services. The movement survived infiltration, ambush, from ambush to slavery, from slavery to resistance, from resistance to prison, from prison to resilience, from resilience to power and freedom.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the people's poet, Mr. Mzwakhe Mbuli, reminding us who we are as a people, where we're from, and indeed where we are going. A great big thank you to you, and also a big thank you to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, also who highlighted the importance of disseminating accurate information of the continent, on the continent, and to the continent. Let me take this opportunity once again to greet our viewers, both old and new. For the very first time, SABC News is broadcasting to 50 countries on the African continent.
You're so right. And, as we were listening to Mzwakhe Mbuli talking about the heroes of South Africa, let's not forget the many heroes that helped shape this continent, starting with the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Kenneth Kaunda. Their names are strewn right across the continent, and we thank them for the Africa Day that we'll be celebrating on Monday. Right, let's now get a final word for the man who's our guiding hand every single day at SABC News. He's the GE of News, and I'd like to call Jimmy Matthews to share his thoughts with us.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the SABC and the News Department, I would like to thank the President of the Republic, the Honorable Jacob Zuma, the Honorable Minister of Communications, Minister of Faith, Mutambi, the Honorable President of the Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Bethel Ahmadi, the Chair of the SABC Board, and all the esteemed guests who have taken the time to join us today to celebrate this momentous occasion. In July 2013, the SABC entered into an agreement with MultiChoice Africa to provide the SABC with two new channels, namely SABC News and SABC Encore. The SABC would like to express its appreciation to MultiChoice Africa for its commitment in partnering with the SABC as we seek to expand our public service mandate, not only by providing platforms, but also in assisting with much needed funding. It is appropriate also to mention the sterling role played by the COO, Mr. Motsoeneng, in cementing the relationship between the SABC and MultiChoice. As many of you will be aware, in the past few years, the SABC has been under severe financial strain. But under the leadership of the COO and his efforts to cement these relationships, we are seeing this financial turnaround. And since the launch of the SABC News Channel in August 2013, it was only accessible to viewers in South Africa and within the SADC region. In the space of less than 24 months, the news channel on DSTV has grown to such an extent that expanding its offer across the entire continent is entirely justifiable. This development is a key step in reaching out to the entire continent and will create a platform for the Republic and the people to interact with their fellow African counterparts by celebrating the continent's achievements, opportunities and challenges. The aim of the SABC News is to reflect on and capture the rich history through dialogue, debate, sport, arts and culture, and of course politics. Unlike other global broadcasters, SABC News will not focus only on disaster and mayhem, but will strive to celebrate the richness of our continent. The launch comes at an opportune moment when the continent is celebrating Africa Month. What better way for South Africa to reinforce Africa's unity, its commitment to peace and democracy and to economic development. Always for Africa, proudly we stand up and say, we are one Africa. Thank you.
Our thanks there to our GE of News, Jimmy Matthews, for saying the final thanks and giving us a final word as we celebrate this wonderful occasion today. I know that the President is now leaving us, so we just want to say thank you very much indeed once again to the President of the Republic of South Africa. His Excellency Jacob Zuma is now saying goodbye. He's been with us celebrating Channel 404's expansion into 50 countries across the continent.
And thank you for having joined us as we witness this history in the making. African news by Africans, for Africans, on the African continent, speaking about our own narrative. It is a groundbreaking event, and we do look forward to more broadcasts to you. So wherever you are on the African continent, be sure to tune in to SABC News.
Yes, indeed. And as you know, once again, we're going to hear so many languages across the continent. To all of you, welcome aboard, and we want to say thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope that this is a relationship that's going to grow from strength to strength. So merci beaucoup, asante sana, muito obrigado, medasi, zikomo kwambiri, tatenda shukuru. From us, we say shokran and goodbye as we play out with the wonderful music of the SABC choir.
God bless Africa, her sons and her daughters. Bye-bye.
Hello, thank you. There's still the lunch. Please don't go without eating. We're just taking the president outside, otherwise they...
SABC News celebrates Africa.
SABC News seeks to be the biggest, the most extensive and diverse news organization on the continent. Our mission is to provide accurate and credible news and current affairs programming throughout the day. We are committed to covering every part of the continent. We reflect the world to Africa and Africa to the world. SABC News, Africa's news leader. Now available throughout the continent.
Johannesburg, South Africa. This is PM News, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers on the continent as we extend the reach of the SABC News Channel 404 into 50 nations today. Now, if you've just joined us, you're watching PM News. It's where we strive to bring you into the heart of Africa's largest news gathering operation. I'm Kirshni Govender. Joining me on the desk, as always, every afternoon, you'll have to get used to his face. It's Colin Lemowana, and you'll bring us the latest from the world of business.
Well, most definitely.
Exciting times at SABC today.
Yeah,
Colin.
let me also welcome our viewers from all the countries that are receiving Channel 404. Well, this is your afternoon program that keeps you apace with the goings on in and around the world and countrywide, and we look at what's happening in the world of business. So we'll be talking about Ching Ching, Mula, everything that